Presenting. Okay, so welcome everybody. We are now live on Twitch. And I am trying to work out why my game is not compiling. I had it compiling just fine and now I've broken it, which is really annoying. So let's see what we've actually got checked out here. I have stupidly removed, by the looks of things, event info list 4. I have removed a bracket. That was not very clever. Yeah, I removed a bracket. Thank goodness for that. Should be there. There we go. And then, yeah, get rid of that one. And then let's move line 1713 down here. Okay, that's more like it. Let's make sure that compiles. Yeah, so what I was doing is trying to prove that the game's still compiled, and it totally failed to compile, so that's no good. But we're almost there now. Oh no, it's still not compiling. Why the heck is it not compiling? Oh yes, that's because this should now be state history. So I've been screwing around with the game, as you do when you're developing for it. Requires 4 arguments, but only 3 were provided. That's because I need to also pass the state history arena. All will be explained very, very shortly. I think that's all I need. Hopefully this will now compile. And it doesn't. Surely we're almost there. Yes, I've just missed a comment. Okay. We are almost there, people. We are almost there. Okay, welcome to Soul Trader live development stream. Thank you very much for joining me this incredibly sunny Monday afternoon. It must be about 22 degrees outside. It's only April. It's very exciting. It's also my 8-year-old daughter's birthday today. We're having a little party later. All is good. All is well with the world, and the game is compiling. Can't ask for much more than that. So today, what we're going to be working on is we're going to be looking at some of the shared AI state for the game, or rather, not shared AI state, but more the AI's view of the world. So we have a brilliant generational history algorithm which builds a massive 200 years of history. Now we have to decide how much of that massive tree of data the AI can see at any one time so that it can make decisions based on that. Now this generally affects the player in the initial instance, because when you are looking at all of the relationships in the game, you won't get to see everything that's there. You may only get to see a small part of it based on your knowledge of the game world at any one particular time. So that's kind of what I'm going for. It does look like the game has just frozen, so let's just make sure that it was still online. Let's just see, just making sure that the video is live, that kind of thing. It's all very important, otherwise we get into trouble. And yeah, it looks like we're live. That's great. Just couldn't see it for a minute. Okay, so what I want to do is just quickly demonstrate what the game does first. So let's just zoom through to Xcode, start the debugger, and I'll show you what we're up to. Okay, so as before, we can create a new history. Don't worry about this line along here, that's just for debugging. Maybe I'll choose 20 people per city to start with. Start a character generation. This runs much faster when you're not actually streaming from the same tiny, not so fast laptop as you are developing the game on, but there we go. Okay, so we're done. We have Donna and Wendell Fair, quite old as parents, you'd have to say. Let's pick someone new. These guys are all pretty old. Let's go for someone who's a bit younger. Let's go for Eloise and Nolan Bryan, who live in London. Okay, so this is us. These are our relationships, Eloise and Nolan. One of them is a management trainee, the other one's an ensign. And then we've got sister and brother. And these numbers are not their ages, by the way. These numbers are the level of relationship that you have with them. Okay, so this is Clarence Bryan. This is the character we're creating. Immediately moved to Jupiter, to a moon of Jupiter for their father's job. I guess that he's... Oh, and then he died. That's very sad. Okay, so moving on. Let's just pick random things here. We are extremely wealthy, which is good. And it looks like we have become a freelance trader, and we have also got married, which is a bit of a bonus. Now you can see here we've got a whole bunch of relationships. Something that I've added very recently is the ability to get to know your parents' relations, as is realistic in a normal kind of family situation. So you have a mum, a father, and sisters and brothers, but you also have grandmothers, uncles, aunts, grandfather-in-law even, uncle-in-law. Then you have a couple of other people that you know, a few friends and relatives and nephews and things like that. And we also have Rodney, who is our son, which is quite cool. Okay, so this is the new screen showing everything that's happening. This is Urbi Prometheus, which is a city on Io, a moon of Jupiter. These are all the different places you can visit. You can't actually visit any of these yet, but you will be able to very soon. Well, actually you can. What happens is it just changes your where you are, but that doesn't actually do anything else yet. And you can't go to these places yet because it's only 8 AM, as you can see just under that debug bar there, and therefore these places are shut and they will open later. Okay, so I've been working a lot on this part of the screen over here. We've got our about information, so this is our information about our character, where we live, that sort of thing. We've got our story, which is basically what happened to us and all of the stuff you saw in the world generation. You've got no items at the moment. You don't have access to any ships, but what you do have is a whole bunch of social relationships. So here are all of the people that you know. So your mother, your father, etc. Now, if we click on one of these people, you can see a lot of information about that person. So I'm clicked on Eloise. She is surprisingly strong and has a whole bunch of stuff. She's 57 years old. That's her story, but the difference between our story and her story is that we don't yet know anything about her, because this tab is looking into the AI, Eloise's representation of the history, and at the moment that's empty. So she doesn't have any idea anything about, or we don't have any idea of anything about this person, because our version of the story, of her story, hasn't actually been filled in yet, and that's what I want to do today. Anyway, just going through this again, we've got Terry Leonards, who's our grandmother, who's Eloise's mother. She's a freelance trader, and then we've got her father, who's dead. Freelance trader. She must be getting on as a grandmother and still a freelance trader. Let's have a look at Terry. This is all a bit slow at the moment. It's not optimized yet. So we've got Terry, not very strong. That's because she's 97 years old and still freelance trading. Pretty cool. And is sort of multi-skilled, has lots of social relationships, as you can see. Her mum and her dad. Most of the people that she knows have died. There's a few people. Her sister's still alive, your great aunt, great uncle. They're still going strong. Her uncle's died, friend's mother, grandmother. These are all the people that she knew who have since died, and we won't be able to see most of these relationships because we won't know about them when we first start looking through the game. So some of these people are still alive. Harrison Gillingham is a friend. He's a senior manager. Let's see how old he is. His social screen takes a little while to build. We don't know much about him at all. He's 105 years old. Wow, good for him. And he does also have a whole bunch of relationships. Okay, great. So we can go back through the history of all the relationships we've looked at. So this again takes a little while to generate. Terry Leonards, that was our grandmother. We were looking at our grandmother's friend, I think. Our mother, and then back down to us. Great. So these are all our relationships here. So we've got our son. Oh, Rodney Bryan. Why do we call him Rodney? I don't know. No offense to any Rodneys out there. Ooh, extremely strong and muscular. Lean and very agile. Nice. Also very wealthy, because we are very wealthy. If you look at our stats, you'll see that we are actually doing rather well, which is quite good. Anyway, that's enough on that. So what I want to do is actually start filling in, not my story, but say, for example, Ted Atwood's story. Let's pick up on Ted. We don't know anything about Ted Atwood, which isn't true because he's our friend, and we should be knowing lots of information about Terence, or Ted, I should say. After all, he's 33 years old, he's lived his life. So let's find out a little bit about some of these characters and try and get the AI to figure out a bit more information about them. Okay, so what I was in the middle of doing was creating a new method called populate information, which is what I'm doing here. So this method doesn't have a tag yet because I need to regenerate them. Okay, this method is, oh, commented out. Even better. Right, here it is. Okay, so let's just start doing that. There we go. And let's just move that up. Right, so what I want to do is I want to go through every human in the entire game, or rather all of the alive humans, which is reasonably easy to do, because we can't get information. We don't really care about information for dead characters at this point. I just want to go through the live characters. Otherwise, that's just... at the moment, we'll start with what the alive characters know. What the dead characters knew isn't really relevant. And to be honest, storing the information for all of the dead characters too, there are thousands of them, could potentially be horrendous. So this is just my first start. I'm going to start this again. I'm just going to leave that down there for a minute. Okay, so we want to go through all of the alive humans. And the way we can do that is the same way that we do when we go through step history. So this is what we do. Basically, we grab the alive human count from the history, step through that, and then work out which are the humans that are alive, and grab those from the index. So now we have an alive human. This is someone who we want to find out about all the information for all of the relationships that they have. Right, so this is their info list. This is all of the information that they have. So based on a particular person. So we need to first go through all of their relationships. So the way that we do that is we go for, let's see, existing relationships. We do this. Something like that. So go back to where we were. Right, so we have the rels, so we have the relationships for a particular human, and then we have a particular relationship. I'm just going to call that rel because that's such a common thing to type. So relationships for, and then we basically go through all of this particular human's relationships for all of the alive humans, and we grab the human that we're targeting. So if target is dead, or if target is not dead, we want to actually do some stuff. And if not, okay. And I'm probably just gonna, whoops. Right. So the target's not dead, then we want to basically grab our information lists, a little bit like our little black book, for each of these characters. So we have a target, and the target is just the rel target, or the target index, doesn't really matter. So this is our little black book on that character. Now, based on our relationship with them, I want to find out whether or not I'm going to go through all of the events in their life, and I want to filter them based on our relationship with them. So the idea is that if I'm really good friends with them, I probably know most things that happen to them in their life, or have happened to them so far. If my relationship is not so good with them, then I'm thinking that I don't want to have known much stuff that happened with them. Now, the problem with doing it like this, by doing it all at the end of the history generation, in one big block, is that you kind of miss the nuances when the information... Let me just open a window because it's boiling hot in here. Okay, there we go. So the problem is, where was I? The problem is that I don't really want to do this as we go, because I think this will just massively slow down the history generation. The only problem, like I was saying, is if your relationship with this person used to be really, really good, you'll know a ton of stuff about their past, which is quite cool. Whereas if your relationship with them wasn't so good, or isn't so good then, isn't so good now, you won't have heard about anything new. So say 5 years ago you fell out, then you're not going to know anything about that person unless you found it out some other way for sort of 5 years back. So I need to think about how I'm going to do this. So what I could do, another way of doing this, is every year, what I could do is I could say, every year, based on this person, or based on a particular person, I want to look through their previous events, the ones that I don't have already, and then do some sort of check on whether or not I can find out about that event. And I think I am probably going to do that, because it's not that slow. The problem with doing that is that I'm going to pick up on all of the dead characters too, which is really frustrating. I'm not sure whether or not that's going to just kill just horribly destroy the performance, because it's going to fill up all of my hash tables with dead people. which is kind of annoying. And I don't really need any of the dead characters' information. That's the problem. And I don't really want to go through and purge it after I've finished. Oh, it's tricky. I don't know what to do. I really like the idea of characters who are kind of old flames or kind of people from the past who can really screw another character over, you know, by being really mean and sharing information with you about someone, like, for example, someone quite important that you can then use against them. I really like that idea. It's quite hard to code, but, you know, I think there's fun. There's fun in there. I wrote a blog post last week about fun in a particular about fun being much more important than realism. This is kind of both realistic and also more fun, but it's just harder to code. But hard to code is like at the bottom of the scrap pile in terms of the stuff that's important in a particular stream, in a particular piece of code. It's got to be fun, then it's got to be realistic, then it's got to be easy to code, basically in that order. So, okay, let's try and do it like this. Let's try and do it so that we go through all of the people that we have a relationship with every year, and that our relationship is any good with, and if we don't already have the event, then we will do a test to see whether or not we can include it. So we will do that. I think we will. So we have a knower, and we have the target. So the knower is the person who knows the information, as in knower, N-A-N-K-N-O-W-E-R. And then we have the target is the person the information is about. So let's try this instead. So instead of going through humans, we've got the human relationship. We know who we're dealing with. Now, if the target is dead, we'll assume that the target isn't dead. So let's assert that the target is not dead, because we'll ensure that we haven't been called unless the target is dead. Okay, because let's have a look at the calling code first, actually. So this will be called in existing relationships. So here, once we finish screwing around with the relationship that we've got between these two people, what I'm thinking of doing is basically calling this populate information, which will take the history. It will take the arena, because we'll need that in a minute. It will take the human that we're dealing with, and it will take the target. Okay, so this is going to be the thing that actually does the work here. This will also need an arena. I think. Doesn't the event info list need an arena? Yes, it does. Oops, too far. Okay. Memory, arena, no arena target. So history, so this is then history arena. Right, so this is the little black book we have on this person. Perfect. And I think that might need to be target index, but I'm not sure. Let's have a look. Yes, they're both target indexes. Okay. Human index, target index. Right, so now we have event info list for those people, which is good. That is a good start. That is what we're expecting. So, I've just realized I have not tweeted to say, or I've not retweeted to say that I'm doing this. That's no good. Better just retweet the thing I stuck out there. That would be good. Just getting it out there. At least I'm trying to. There it is. Let's retweet. Let's retweet that. T is not working. Ah, that's because I'm not paying attention. That's the one. Ding. Okay. Perfect. Ta-da! Okay. Right. Sorry about that short and brief interlude. Right, so now we have the little black book on these people. So now we're calling this every year, which means that we need to basically go through all of the events that have happened in the previous year, which is kind of what I was trying to do here. So that means that we grab all of the events for the human that we've got, then we go backwards through them. Do we want to consider older events? No, I think not at the moment. We'll go backwards through the events. We'll grab the new event. We'll make sure that the event year is not less than the current year, so it should be the same year. Now, if we're equal to the year, then we will do some stuff. Else we'll break, because as soon as we hit an event, actually that's not clear at all. As soon as we hit an event that is previous to us, we're going backwards through them, remember, so they'll be oldest first, so we're going backwards, so it'll be newest first. As soon as we hit something that is before this year, then we're not going to consider it. So we're only looking at events that happened this year. Right, so here is the event year, and this should be definitely equal to the current year. So the event year should never be in the future. So could it be in the past? Or there may have never been any events for this person. So I'm just going to look at these events. Right, current events. Now, the info significance. This is how interesting and important is this event? And we're going to call a method called event significance for subjects. So we're looking at a particular event for a particular person that we may want to know about, or we might find out about because we have a relationship with them. Now, the significance of that event depends on the event, and sometimes it might be very significant, other times it might not be. So we're going to wrap that up inside this method here, which we haven't written yet. Then we have a difficulty modifier. The idea here, that what I was thinking of, is that, and this code down here is just stuff that I was screwing around with just before I came online. And actually that's quite a useful note, which I'm going to pop here. Yeah. I was going to do it differently, but I've changed my mind. So what we do here is we basically take the person's charm, so the greater the charm, you are to find it out, and we subtract the target's wisdom, which means that the greater the wisdom, the less likely you are to find it out. So I'm kind of pitting kind of charisma versus, I suppose, discretion. And that's the kind of the idea. Now, if the event has no significance, I don't think that'll really make any difference, but it may well do if it has some significance. So significance is from 1 to 5. It's either trivial, minor, moderate, major, or enormous. Now, that will affect how damaging that particular piece of information might be to the character. Like, for example, they're the president, but they happen to be married to a crime boss, or something like that, which does happen. So, occasionally. So, what we're looking to do here is to basically take a view on what the event is. The first thing I want to do before I do this, actually, is say, have we seen this event before? So we can do if info, so the info list, we need to go through that now. Oops, not that, that. Right, so we have an event index, right, an account, right. So for int event 32, event info index, we've got that one yet. Okay, and then we want to basically say uint32 event, I think I'm getting this right, equals, it's actually the event index, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I've written this code previously, so I'm just auto-completing it. Okay, so the event index is there. If event, oh no, we've already got an event index, yeah, fail. So we basically say if in event index, that's the one that we've got, is equal to the info event index, yeah, then we don't want to consider this anymore. So we need bull32 already know about this. It's false. Already know about this is true. We can break out of that one. And just old habit here, I'm just going to put index equals to info.count. So we definitely know we're breaking out of the right loop. Okay, so if we already know about this, first thing actually, before I do that, I actually want to put that inside here because we want to check the year first. before we do a potentially quite complicated thing here, but going through all events. So if we already know about this event, we break. Now, if we don't already know about it, then we might as well consider it. If we already know about it, there's no point considering it. So otherwise, this one is just here so that we break out that one. Great. Okay, so if we don't already know about this, then I better just watch the comments, make sure I'm not missing anybody's comments. Okay. Excuse me. Wow, it's hot in here. I've been through all of that water since I started the stream. Okay, then we can do this event significance thing. We do the difficulty modifier, we roll a dice, basically, that's all that does. And then it says, basically, we need the random number index. Just noticed that. 32, random number index. There we go. We roll a dice. Now, if roll is less than sig plus difficulty modifier, then we have found out the information, which means that we can just assert that info the count is less than array count info event index. Yeah, and then we can just say info event index info count plus plus equals the event index. Brilliant. So now we have saved that one. Now the interesting thing here is that we won't ever already know about this event. Interesting. I'm not sure we'll already know about it. We're offline. I might have just gone offline. How frustrating. Damn it, Twitch. Sorry about this. I'm just going to have to double check that I'm still online. Yeah, just make sure that everyone can see that. Okay, right. So there we go. I've got 5 viewers now. I wasn't sure whether they popped offline or not. Very confusing. Sorry about that if I did. Such is life on Twitch sometimes. It's kind of frustrating. Maybe I should switch to somewhere else, but you know, Twitch is good. It's got the biggest audience. Yeah, no, I'm happy. Right, so what I was saying is we are only ever considering events that happen in this year, which means that we're never considering previous events or future events, which means we don't need to check to see whether or not we already know about this event because we've never considered it before, which means that we can get rid of all of this code, which is a very good thing because I was really worried about the speed of it because this stuff is happening a lot. Okay, so now we have basically added that if we passed a particular role. Now, my only other concern is that I kind of want this to be a weighted role. So I want it to be very, very easy to pass certain types of number. So potentially, if the charm is huge, yeah, let me think about this. Int difficulty mod is 0. I only really want this to be a -1 or a +1. Okay, so at the moment we've got 1 to 5 is our number from the significance. Now, if human attributes charm is greater than target attributes wisdom, then I want to add 1. So this is, yeah. Then what I want to do is I want to add 1 to the difficulty modifier. But if the charm is less, well, I want to say that's -1. I want to take 1 off the difficulty if the charm is greater. If the charm is less, then I want it to be slightly more difficult to find this information out. But I don't want it to be impossible because I think some information is just going to go out there. Public information is totally fine, like people moving around. That's totally fine. Now, if I then add or minus this number, that gives me a chance of getting a number from 0 to 6. Now, the chances are that 0, actually, I've got this wrong way around, haven't I? Basically, you have to roll more than the number to be able to find out about it. Now, if the information is really secret, I don't really want that to come out at all, really. It depends on your friendship. So that's a big deal as well. So we haven't actually added that in yet. So at the moment, I've got a number between 0 and 6. Now, depending on how good friends you are with this person, I want to add in another modifier here. So basically, if you're best bosom buddies, then let's just make that clear. I want this to be, I'm going to say change that to difficulty. Okay, I want this to be easier. So if, but in some ways, I only want you to find out stuff. Let's think hard about this. I only want you to find out about stuff that is possible for you to find out about. So in some ways, a test like this is okay, but it's not perfect, because I don't really want to roll a dice. I only want to roll a dice for certain events that are outside your friendship level, if that makes sense. And that really depends on your... that will all depend on how close you are as a friend. Now, our friendships at the moment go from -10 to +15. +15 is like close family members, fathers and sons, and mothers and daughters, things like that. 10 is pretty good. In fact, that reminds me of something else I'm going to do. 5 is kind of average, and 0 is, like it says, 0. It's pretty much neutral, -0, and you've fallen out, basically, if you go below 0. Okay, so the relative thing, I just wanted to sort that out. The introduction to relatives, that's it. So I don't want them to have rel level. I want that to be rel level divided by 2. Yeah, 2. Yeah, that's fine. Just wanted to add that in while I was remembering. That was something I wanted to fix earlier. So basically, if you are best buddies, you might get to find out some quite significant stuff. If you are not, then you won't. It's as simple as that. So looking back at the info significance stuff, I've got info significance and info privacy. So some information is held very privately by a particular person. And that can be because it's enormously significant. However, it could be because it's trivial, but they're just a very private person. So that kind of is based on their charm, that kind of thing, also their wisdom. So we kind of want to think about, it's not just significance that we care about, it's really about privacy, especially in this calculation. So here, when we're looking at whether or not someone should find out about an event that's happened, what I'm interested in is how private the person is about that event. And so actually this should be privacy. Now that ranges from 1 to 5. So public, social, personal, intimate, inner. And those can directly correspond to friendship levels. So basically, if you have a friendship level, then if you have a friendship level of basically above 10, you have a chance you'll find out all of the personal stuff. And you might even find out about stuff to do with intimate stuff. If you have a friendship level above 5, you'll find out about the social stuff. If you have a friendship level of any sort, anyone will find out about public stuff if they know them. So that means that Yeah, that will work. I just spotted a question. Sodus, can I record and ask you some questions I needed for a school project? All of the videos are actually recorded. You're welcome to check them out online on YouTube. The archive stream is actually just below the stream now on YouTube. That's the URL. If you wanted to ask any kind of detailed questions around about the development, yeah, you're welcome to ask them in the Q&A, which is in around about 25 minutes. And yes, you are welcome to record them for personal use only. But you're also welcome to just check out the YouTube archive. I'll stuff it on the YouTube archive too if you just want to have a recording, so you can watch it later. Okay, back to the code. So really it's down to the event privacy. So the difficulty of the test only comes in when you're trying to find out something that's above your grade, above your friendship grade basically. So if the event privacy is public, so let's just write this out. If privacy is public, then, or we should probably just work out, first we need privacy for, so this is event privacy, we need privacy or friendship openness, relationship openness, candor, there's a good word. Relationship candor. Candor just means how candid are you, which I quite like. It's quite a cool word. Okay, so this is based on the relationship that we've got. So I'm going to just check what that is. Now, this will return basically public, private, secret. If event privacy, if the candor is greater or equal to the event privacy, then we're just going to find out about it. So let's just do this. Bool 32 will find out equals false. Will find out equals true. Okay, if it's not, then we have a chance of finding it out. If the candor plus 1 is equal to the event privacy, basically meaning that if it's another level up from where we're up to, then we will find it. So for example, if you have a social friendship with someone, you have a chance of finding out some personal information, which is kind of cool because it means that you might get lucky. If you have a social friendship, you are not going to find out any intimate or inner information about that person. They're just not going to share it with you. You're not going to find out about it. But if you have a chance of finding out something, really close to that, right? So in this case, this is where we want to do our difficulty stuff. Which is here. Now, this role, which we haven't quite finished thinking about yet, but basically that will just mean we'll find out equals true. If I could spell, that would be fine. And then this is simply will find out. Then we can just add the information to the list. Brilliant. So that means that we then have a difficulty of 0. We check the charm and the wisdom, like I was saying before, we roll a dice. The only way that we can find this out is whether or not right, let's have a think about this. So the event privacy, we have a chance of finding it out basically, and it's basically if we pass a charm test and the other guy fails a wisdom test. Let's just do it like that. Attribute test. And this comes down to, it's a normal charm test. And the wisdom test, well, yeah, no, we could do with a wisdom test. Let's have a wisdom test in there too, but I'll make it a simple one. No, they've got to fail, haven't they? So if they fail a tricky wisdom test, which means that they're not likely to fail. It's only if they've got super high wisdom, they're super highly discreet, they won't share anything. Or maybe a hard wisdom test. Yeah, if they fail a hard wisdom test, then we'll find out it's true. So we're not going to do any sort of rolls, we're just going to check the charm, and we're going to check the will find out. Because I don't really want that to fail very often. I don't want wisdom to stop people finding stuff out. Okay, So now we have this situation where we have the candor and the privacy, and we can figure out whether or not they're likely to find something out. So basically now we just need to figure out what relationship candor and privacy are. So let's have a look at that. See if we can get this done in 20 minutes. That would be pretty cool. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get relationship event privacy out yet, but we're going to have a go. Okay, user undeclared identified populate information. Oh, really? I thought I'd just written this. Ah, yes, it's in the wrong place. Let's just grab this code, and what was the other one? It's there, so it needs to be above here somewhere. Talk amongst yourselves. There we go. This is a terrible name for this method. This is more find out info about relationship target. That's not much better, but it's better than populate information. I'll go with that. Okay, so unidentified area. I did mean arena, yeah, that's fine. I still think this is going to be pretty slow. And the problem is we're going to give dead people a bunch of information, which we don't necessarily, and then we're going to store it. Yeah, I don't really like that. Okay, event list info, this is the Noah. Did I have another mentions of Noah? And this is the target. There's no human as such in that method. Human is not a very good name here because they're all humans. Right, event year. Yeah, we don't have the event yet. Let's just make sure we've got it. New event. Event is events. Event index. That's the one. I have to say, whole line completion in Vim is the most amazing thing ever. Ah, yes. So now we also need to pass in the year because we need to know which year we're looking at, which means that we're going to need to find history arena year. The history doesn't actually store which year it's in. This is deliberate. Oh, yes. Okay. Use of undeclared identified privacy for event. Interesting. Yes, that's what I was expecting. I used to undeclared identify rel. Ah, this is because we don't have... Yeah, we could do with passing that, actually. Instead of passing the... Let's just pass the new relationship. By the way, it's only new because it's the new code. I'll just call that rel target. Then I can just do history, new human. What do I actually care about? The candor, the privacy. I do care about the whole relationship. Yeah, that's annoying. I don't like referring to the history if I don't have to. Screw it, I'm going to have to. New human. Target is history humans rel target. Target, that can be rel. So that's the target. Which means that this thing yet again is out of date. So that can now be the relationship. I'm only doing this with one of these guys because the other won't get a chance in a minute. Now here's a question. We can't do this for this year. We have to do this for the previous year. The reason is because we're still in the middle of generating the current year and all of the events won't be there for the other person yet until they've had their turn. So half of the people won't get any events, which means that if this event year equals year minus 1, that's what we're going to have to do. And then are we going to have to do it at the end? Oh, I hate this kind of thing. Otherwise we break. So let's put a note. Do the year before so that we don't miss any events for half history run, because the history run due to the history run being halfway through. That's accurate. And then I probably want a to-do here, which also states something around do we need to run this again for all humans at the end of history gen? And I think we do. Anyway, that should still work. And then this one just basically needs to say if event year is less than year minus 1. And actually, yeah, no, that's fine. Why don't I just pass in last year and pop that at the top, so it's super clear. Now, if I pass in last year, then we know what we're talking about. Last year, same down here. And then when we actually do this thing, this one here, we can just pass in year minus 1. Cool. So they're finding out about the previous year's relationships, and that's totally fine. Okay, where are we up to? So, undefined declared for privacy for event. Right. So let's just stub these ones out to start with. So up at top here, we've got some event stuff here, and we're going to need some sort of method, which is a method info privacy for event. Now, what does that actually take? It just takes the event. Now we need to figure out what the privacy is for any event. Okay, so firstly, I'm just simply going to return privacy public, just so that it's really easy for anyone to kind of have a relationship. Now the second tough thing I need to do is relationship candor. So let's put that in a different file, in the relationships file. We need a relationship candor method. So this is an internal method, candor relationship candor, and this one takes a new relationship and does something on it. Right. So this will depend partly on the status. So this one we can say if rel status, or we can switch rel status. Okay, and then the default I want to be invalid code path. And I think I've got switch rel status somewhere in here already. I'm sure I've done switch status before somewhere in the code. Here, not there. Here, parent child, yeah, that's the one. Friend seeing, no, that's not the one I want. This is the one I want, because that looks very similar to what we had before. Switch rel status. Okay, so now basically these are all of the different privicies, candors that we might have. So these are all the different statuses of the relationship. So basically, a seeing relationship, a spouse relationship, is basically almost always intimate. So if the relationship level is less than 5, so let's just do info privacy result equals privacy null, which is 0, okay. And then if relationship level 5, then result equals privacy personal, else result equals privacy intimate. Great. Okay. Where are we? How are we doing? Oh, that was annoying. Looks like, did we go offline again? I hope not. Stupid thing. My video thing keeps freezing. Kind of hoping we didn't go offline, but we'll find out in a minute. It's very difficult to know, really, whether I am actually offline or not. Apparently I'm not. So let's see what happens. Okay, anyway, So if the relationship level is less than 5, we want a personal relationship, otherwise it's an intimate relationship. Now if you're seeing someone, the relationship has to be pretty good before it, I don't know. I think relationships when you're seeing people are quite intimate. You share everything. So if it's less than 2, you can be personal, otherwise you're intimate. Now, a divorce relationship, nothing. So if the relationship is greater than 5, it's personal, else it's public. Okay, if relationship level is greater than 0, then it's social, else result equals privacy public only. So that's information you'd share with the world. So that kind of works for me. In fact, I want to change the way this works so that they're all the same, otherwise I'm going to get confused. Okay, same with this one. It's greater than 2, that's about right. We'll just try this and see what happens. It'll be fine. Okay, now child. Now this is the target's a child, so you know everything about your children. You even know their inner stuff, actually. But only at kind of that level. They'll tell you everything. They'll tell you their intimate stuff pretty much at that level. Otherwise it's personal. Yeah, if it's your child. Now your parents, you don't always know the same stuff. You certainly don't know their inner stuff. You really don't know their inner intimate stuff unless you've got a relationship of like 15 or 12 or well, greater than 13 even. If your relationship with them, it does vary a lot, so we don't know that. Your parents' relationship, remember these go from -10 to 15. So if the relationship level here is greater than, for your parents, they can shut you out easily. So they'll give you personal stuff though, they'll give you personal information up to about 5. Other than that, it's social. And that's public. Cool. Right, your friends. What do we say for your friends? Friends have to be super, super friends to be intimate. So I'm going to say greater or equal to 15, which is the maximum. Do they find out everything? Do they find out everything? Maybe greater than, I'm going to say 9. Or yeah, 9 for personal, 0 for social. Most of the information is social, and apart from that, it's public. Siblings. It depends how old you are, and that's tricky. I'm going to go for, again, greater than 9 for personal, not intimate. Greater than 0 for social, and both of those public. Relatives, slightly, a little bit like siblings, but slightly more distant. Again, it's personal, social, public. Good. So let's try and build that, make sure that all builds. Got 5 minutes to go, I'm hoping to get it built. Privacy null, do I not have privacy null? Should have. Oh, I didn't rename it. This was originally secrecy. That was wrong. Okay. Okay, control may reach end of non-void function. That's right, but it's because I'm not returning anything. That would not be good. Now, all of the information that we've shared here is at the moment, because of that privacy for event thing, it's public. Okay, let's just fix all of this stuff. Matching function recall, 6 arguments and 5 are provided. What else do I need? I need a random number after the last year. That's easy enough to do. So hopefully, populate information. Oh yeah, I don't need that there anymore. That was when I was doing it at the end of the the end of the history gen. I have no idea what this is going to do to the speed of the generation. We'll find out. Okay, let's run the game. Okay, create new game. Okay. Oh, it's chugging a little bit more. Oh, it really is. Mind you, I am streaming. So, you know, streaming doesn't make it good. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Bad instruction, assert result. Why did I... so we have run out of... What's happened here, it looks like we've run out of info list entries, which is kind of annoying. So the problem that we've got here is that we have too many little black books, basically. I was storing them in a big hash table. That doesn't look like it's going to work, unfortunately, because we've got too many of them. Let's have a look at the initialize history call. Let's try again. Inish history. Right, so information, history information, yeah. So there's our event info list. We've got 16k of them. Screw it. I'm just going to whack that up and see if this works. I'm probably going to run out of space. I think every human has some information, so I may just store a pointer with every human to the information that they hold. And I might recycle those when they die. But that's an optimization. I'd really like to see if I can get this working. Let's see. And this is only with 20 people a city. Imagine what it'd be like with 100. How close am I going to get? Oh, it's slowing to a crawl. I was worried about this. When you start thinking about the representation of information through other people, it gets crazy busy. Wow, this is going so slowly. I think it's going to die again. It's all of those relationships, all of those events. Oh, struggling through every 5 years now. I've still got another 60 years to go. I'm not sure this is sustainable. So this is what it looks like when you write some really, really slow code. And you want to see it run. At the moment, it's just tanking. I'm not sure I can be able to wait for it. Yeah. That was disappointingly slow, it has to be said. Let's go for... Let's try and figure this out by doing world gen... No, not that. World gen controller. Years to generate. Yeah, let's change that to 50. 50? Yeah, 50 should be okay. And just rebuild that. That's obviously not ideal. I'm going to have to think about how I store this information. I just think we've got masses of clashes inside that. So that hash table, I think it's just the hash table performing hugely badly. But I can figure that out in a minute. I would just want to see it working, so I can show you all before we sign off. Okay, so we have 257 living people. That's fine. So let's choose this family. Okay, this is all my information. Okay, now let's see. So, in theory, viewer Stuart is my mother, and her story. A boy named Fabian was born. That's my information. Let's see. Yeah, I think I've just screwed that up, haven't I? So this is Vera. Fabian. Right. So this is the information that I've got. Ooh, interesting. So this has worked. There's a couple of bugs. So the problem that I've got here is that I've got all my information here. It's not that Vera, my mother, had a sex change or anything. That's my info, and I haven't cleared it from the event list, so I just need to do that. That's really easy to do. So let's just fix that bug. But it looks like I haven't got any information about Vera after a certain age, before she had me, which is kind of right, but it's kind of not right, because you'd think you'd find out information about the past. Yeah, see, this is tricky. This is why maybe it's worth doing it at the end. Tricky, tricky, tricky. So let's just change that. So to fix that particular bug, it should be super easy to do, which is set in a RML. So it's this one here. I need to change this to set to 0. Right, so let's just build that again. Do the same run and see that happening. And actually, before I do that, the other thing I want to do is where I created in that new history thing to be everything being public, I'm actually going to change that to being social. Well, personal even. So let's have a look at that. Oh, and the other thing I can do, which will definitely speed this up on this find most recent, no, not find most recent events. Where is it? This code I've just written. Where is it? Where have I just written that code? Find out. This one. I don't think this info thing is creating a new info list. When did I first actually use that? Not right until down here. So actually, I'm just going to grab it in here. And now I know I grab it several times. Well, it's easy enough to fix that actually. I can say event info is null, and then I can say if not info, so I memorize it. The point is that I don't want to actually create that unless I've got information to share with them. At the moment, I'm creating all of them, which will slow it down massively. I've run like 2 or 3 minutes over, but I just wanted to see if I can get this working. Now we've got personal stuff in there, but I will be moving on to the questions very soon. Okay, that's built. Let's see what happens now. So this will speed up that performance of that hash table. Hopefully, let's find out. It's difficult to tell because I've only got it running at a small amount. But anyway, so let's just scoot through this. Okay, now, Carol Burke, there's my story. I get in all the information about me. Vera, let's have a look at my mother, who died, rather sad. So her story is that she became our mother. And I found out a bunch of stuff about her because she's my mother. Now the question is that still true for one of my mother's friends? So for example, Raphael Bourne, who's a friend of my mother's, who's dead. Let's have a look at their story. Don't know anything about them. Fantastic, that worked. What about Tyrone Bartlett? Don't know anything about him either. What about Don? My brother. Yeah, know a lot about Don, because he's my brother, right? That is awesome. That's working. So obviously it's not finished. There's still a bunch of work to do on it, but I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty happy that that's kind of doing what I was hoping. Right, Gerald struggled with when he was 25. Is he really that old? Yeah, he's only 7. Yeah, that's fine. So that's my little brother. What about Alberto? Who's my other brother? He's 20. Know a bit about him. It's difficult because I can't actually see how I can't see enough information about how well I get on with these people to know whether or not that's working. But I need to step through it anyway, which I'll do off stream. But yeah, I'm really pleased with that. That's generally working pretty well. I'm happy that that's a starting point. What I'm probably going to do is just put this back to 200 and just see if it's as slow. Now I've moved that information black book creation stuff out. Let's see what this does. This should make a big difference, hopefully. Okay, let's try this. history done. Let's see if this is just as slow as it was before. It's still pretty slow. It's definitely faster than it was. Yeah, it's slow, and it's still slowing, but it's faster than it was a minute ago. Okay, I am open for questions. If you have questions, please do send them through on the Twitch chat or Twitter if you want, something like that. So yeah, I'd be very happy to answer anything that you have, questions you have about the game, about my Vim setup, that kind of thing. So yeah, fire away now. Obviously, there's a little bit of delay on the chat window, which is kind of annoying. But if you were to just pop them in there, that'd be great. And I'll answer as many as I have time for, assuming that there are any. There was, I think, let's see. I think there's a question on Twitter. Hey Chris, that's a pretty cool Vim profile. How you have set up any info on how you got it to look that way? Why, yes, Enrique, I can give you the information. Let me just add it to the messages so it's all there, because people ask this a lot. Vim setup is all on my GitHub, which is http github.com/chrismdp config files. There you go. It's all there. And I'll add that to the messages which appear on the bottom because everyone keeps asking me that. Yeah, I'm really happy with the Vim setup that I've got running. I've used this setup pretty much unchanged for about the last 3 years, and I'm pretty fast with it now. It works very, very well for me. I have no reason really to kind of in any way change it or mess with it. Occasionally I change the colors I maybe change the light background color, but to be honest, again, it's 3.5 years since I've even used a different color scheme. I use solarized. I love solarized. I can't really imagine using anything else. So there we go. Yeah, any other questions, please do fire away. Be very happy to answer them. Okay, well, if that's the only question, then I think I will be signing off at this point. Thank you all very much for watching. It's been a pleasure, as always, to have you along. And next week, what I'm hoping to do this week is I want to definitely finish off this information representation so that you can only get a bit of information about the various different characters in the game. I think once that's in, it'll all of the kind of information around getting the missions working and that kind of thing will work really well. I'm really looking forward to having that work well. So I think that will be the next step, is thinking about how you maybe interact and have conversations with characters as soon as this stuff is in. So until next time, thanks very much for watching, and I will see you every Monday, 2 p.m. UK time. This time next week, I will see you again. So thanks very much for watching.